Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hoffman Engineering. It's been a few years, but longtime viewers may remember my t-shirt making phase. Well, it's time to bring it back, and this time with some new tools. Today I'm taking a look at the Vevor heat press, a 5-in-1 heat press designed for t-shirts, mugs, hats, and plates. In this video I put it to the test, explore how well it works, and I even break out the thermal camera to test its heating capabilities. So is the Vevor heat press the heat press your crafting room needs? Let's find out. Before we begin, this heat press was provided for me to review by Vevor. As with all of my videos, they aren't paying me for this review, and everything I say is my own honest opinion after using this heat press for the last month. My videos do have affiliate links in the description, so if you're interested in anything you see in my videos, you can use those links to help support my channel. We appreciate it. The Vevor heat press is a 5-in-1 heat press with up to 900 watts of heating. It's designed for sublimation die printing and heat-activated vinyl, but it can be used with other materials that require a heated surface and pressure. It features a solid base with a top arm that can swing 360 degrees to make it easy to move out of the way. It comes with 5 different attachments: a large platter for t-shirts, a curved hat press, a cup or mug press, and a large and small plate press. The attachments connect to the swing arm and has a cable which attaches to the control panel. The main handle is then used to operate the press. The press pressure is controlled by a knob at the top, which raises or lowers the swing arm. A series of springs on the arms ensure firm, even pressure while pressing. The springs are quite stiff. You can get quite a bit of clamping pressure force from the press. The control panel is on the side of the arm and shows the current temperature as well as a built-in timer. The temperature can be switched between Fahrenheit and Celsius. The temperature can be set between 200 and 450 degrees Fahrenheit, 93 to 232 degrees Celsius, and the timer can be set between 0 and 999 seconds. The timer starts counting down when you press the start button, and it will give a beep when time runs out. It's only a timer though. It doesn't automatically move the press or turn off the heater. So let's take a look at each of the attachments. For my tests, I'm using a TC View thermal camera by Top Don to record the heating time and temperatures. The link is in the description if you are interested. The t-shirt press is 12 inches by 15 inches. The heater portion has a non-stick Teflon coated plate. The attachments have 2 screws on the top that slides into the swing arm. You can then use the included screwdriver to tighten the screws and lock the attachment in place. 2 heat insulation pads are included. The white pad is softer, while the blue pad is more firm, and the combination provides a good balance of pressure against the top plate. The thermal camera reveals the 6 individual heat zones, but those even out after it heats up. It takes about 2.5 minutes to reach the set temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. The center of the press is relatively consistent, but the surface varies by about 25 degrees Celsius. The very edge of the corners are about 10 degrees hotter than the middle, and the back edge is about 10 degrees colder. The thing to note is that the actual temperature is about 20 degrees colder than what it's set to. When set at 100 degrees Celsius, I'm observing 80 degrees at the center and 90 at the hottest points. That discrepancy is larger when set to higher temperatures. At the max 232 degrees Celsius, I observed that the hottest corner is reaching only 200 degrees Celsius, and the center is at about 150 degrees. There are some caveats to this test. Thermal cameras are hard to calibrate, and they are affected by the thermal emissivity of the material. I have no way of calculating the emissivity of the Teflon surface, so that surface might be affecting the readings. However, since the corners are the same material, we can at least observe a 50 degrees difference between the corner and the sensor while at max temperature. I'll test to see if the temperature difference actually makes a difference later in the video, but first let's test the other attachments. The hat press consists of a curved heated top surface and the corresponding curved base. The base simply slides into a groove at the bottom of the press. The thermal camera reveals the heater wire, which loops back on itself 13 times. It only takes about 30 seconds to reach the target temperature of 165 degrees Celsius, although it initially overshoots by about 30 degrees. After 3 minutes though, the temperature stabilizes. The heat is a bang-bang control, meaning that the heater is either on or off. It's never just partially on. The result is this: when set to a target temperature of 165 degrees, it'll wait until the temperature drops to about 155 degrees before turning the heater back on. It then overshoots to about 175 degrees before turning back off. It then repeats that cycle. I'm happy that the temperatures from the thermal camera match the target temperature. When set to 165 degrees Celsius, the hat press is at 165 degrees Celsius, plus or minus 10 degrees. That's pretty good. After pressing a hat for 15 seconds, the pattern of the heater is very apparent on the thermal camera. It is consistent over the entire hat, showing that the pressure is pretty even. Moving on to the cup and mug attachments, it has a separate clamp. The heater pad is then plugged into the control panel. The clamp is designed for straight-walled cups and mugs. The screw on the clamp is used to adjust the range that the clamp moves to accommodate different sized mugs and adjust the clamping pressure. The cup press has a max cup height of 4.5 inches, 12 centimeters, and a max diameter of 3.22 inches, 8 centimeters. Again, looking at the thermal camera, we can see the more intricate pattern of the heater wire inside. It initially reached its target temperature of 165 degrees in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and stabilized after 3 minutes. The temperature range during the on and off cycle is a little larger than the hat press, dropping to a low of 156 degrees and heating back up to 183 degrees Celsius. Finally, we have two different size plate attachments, a 5-inch diameter, 12 centimeters, and a 6-inch diameter, 15 centimeters. These are flat presses that attach to the swing arm using the same 2-screw mounting method. The thermal camera shows much of the same. The larger press heats up in about 45 seconds and takes a few minutes to stabilize. When set to 165 degrees, it bounces between 173 and 158 degrees Celsius. That's a pretty tight range, good job. The smaller press runs a little cooler. When set to 165 degrees, it heats up to 166 degrees before cooling down to 148 degrees Celsius. That's pretty helpful to know if your designs are turning out slightly different when using the two different size plate presses. You might need to set the smaller press temperature a little higher. With all that fancy thermal camera test out of the way, let's get to the actual crafting. I love using iron-on vinyl for my t-shirts, and lucky for me, Mrs. Hoffman Engineering actually let me enter her craft room to use her vinyl cutter. Using the Cricut Studio, I imported my logo and cut out the shapes on her Cricut Air 2 vinyl cutter. Now let me just cut out the designs really quick.
Those better not be my fabric scissors!
Whew, that was a close one. Using normal scissors, I cut out the designs and weeded the unnecessary vinyl. Back over to the Vevor heat press, I set the temperature to 175 degrees and the timer for 30 seconds, and I let it heat up. I laid the shirt down and did a quick press to preheat the surface. I then positioned the first layer and pressed for 30 seconds. The adhesion looked great, so I could peel off the film and repeat the steps for the next 2 layers. And here's the final design. The press performed perfectly. All the pieces are well adhered and there are no distortions or buckling of the vinyl. Even the thin sections like the belt turned out great. As one more test, let's use this iron-on vinyl design. The instructions said to use the cotton iron setting for 10 to 15 seconds, and then flip it over and iron from the back for another 10 to 15 seconds. So I did that using the press. The end results were pretty good. All of the sections adhered, including the thin flower stems, although I'm not sure how long some of the thinner sections will last. But that's not due to the heat press, it performed perfectly. And while I had my t-shirts out, I had an old Hoffman Engineering shirt that I ironed on a few years ago. It's showing some wear and tear. Some of the vinyl was pinching and becoming detached. So I threw it back on the press and I was pleasantly surprised that the heat press seemed to make a big difference. It flattened out all the vinyl and there seemed to be enough adhesive to stick it back onto the shirt. Repressing old iron-ons might be worth some future experiments. There is one little thing to note. The instruction manual has all of the information you need to assemble and operate, but I noticed that while the front has the correct model name, when you open it up, it says that this is a manual for an inverter welding machine. Obviously that's not correct, but that was the only problem that I saw in the manual. So in conclusion, I think that the Vevor 5-in-1 heat press did an excellent job. It is easy to assemble, simple to operate, and did its job well. The 5 different attachments give you the ability to press shirts, hats, mugs, and plates, and it was painless to switch between the attachments. The arm is easy to swing out of the way when needed, and the base is nice and stable in any orientation. Pressure was easy to adjust with the knob on the top, and the handle locks into place to maintain that pressure while in use. While the thermal camera gave lower temperature readings for the Teflon coated flat press, that didn't seem to affect its performance when actually making t-shirts. The designs transferred perfectly, and heating seemed even over the entire shirt. I'm certainly not a crafting expert, but I had a great experience with the Vevor 5-in-1 heat press. It'll be a great addition to the craft room for our DIY crafting needs. The Vevor 5-in-1 heat press sells for $159 at the time of recording. Compared with other multi-use heat press machines, that seems to be an outstanding deal, about $20 cheaper than the average prices that I'm seeing. If you are in the market for a heat press, then I was happy with my experience with the Vevor and I can give it my recommendation. So thank you all for watching my review of the Vevor heat press. This is a little out of my normal product reviews, so let me know in the comments if you have ideas on how I can improve future heat press reviews. I always want to know what you think. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I have a number of fun projects in the works. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.